Charli XCX's sixth album, Brat, has been unleashed. I have covered Charli since the very start of this channel. She's produced 5 killer albums, 4 mixtapes, the score to last year's iconic Bottoms, and a lost record that people still talk about to this day. With Brat, she has somehow managed to outdo herself yet again. Brat exists in the context in which all she has lived and what has come before her. Of all of this year's releases, this is my most anticipated record, and it did not disappoint me. Brat is Charli's most confessional and transformative work in years. With time and more listens, I feel like this could match Pop 2 in my personal ranking of Charli XCX's previous works. You guys know the drill. I'm gonna do a quick era recap and then break down each track and assign the record a score. Before Brat, Charli's last record, Crash, was an earnest yet satirical major label sellout record, declaring hyperpop, a genre that she alongside H.E. Cook and Sophie pioneered, dead. Charli opted for a more conventional 80s dance pop sound. Critics lauded it, and commercially it marked her first #1 album in the UK and even hit 7 on the Billboard 200, her highest charting album to date, and her first top 10. Charli would go on to drop the underrated Hot Girl for Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. She'd also release Speed Drive for the Barbie soundtrack. Speed Drive marked her first Hot 100 entry in nearly a decade and netted her a top 10 hit in the UK. Sometime in early 2023, she renewed her contract with Atlantic. The first real tease for Brat came through a private Instagram account, 360_Brat, that she would open up at certain times. I was actually one of the first couple hundred to make it into the account because I'm terminally online and crazy. 2023 was also a really busy year, which saw her get her first film composer credit with Bottoms. She would collaborate with Addison Rae on To Die For, and even drop a cute Sam Smith collaboration droplet towards the end of that year. Even with all of that mainstream success, Charli would eventually pivot back to her roots, the club. Charli started out in the rave scene when she was a teenager. In February, Charli teased new music during her Boiler Room set, including the unreleased Spring Breakers, which we're all still waiting for. She'd formally announced Brat and launched the era with Von Dutch, an explosive pop track about being the it girl. A viral remix featuring Addison Rae and the coolest scream in modern pop history dropped in March. The record's shape would crystallize with double singles, club classics, and B2B. She'd also teased the more intimate nature of the record, singing So I, an ode to Sophie, at the Billboard Women in Music Awards, and through interviews. A final pre-release single and career highlight, 360, was released in early May. Its music video features It Girls Chloe Sevigny, the name-drop Julia, Alex Kasani, Emma Chamberlain, and frequent film collaborator Rachel Seno, amongst others. A remix of that track featuring pop legend Robin and emo rap pioneer Young Lean would precede the album's formal launch. Okay, it's now time to review the album. Brat follows through with its club record promises. This is Charli's most aggressive, messy, and combative record to date. It's also her most personal and honest record, its lyrics often evoking drunk texts from a close friend at 3 a.m. Charli confronts her own legacy as a semi-famous pop star, feelings about literal motherhood, the weight of grief upon losing friends and time, and more. People who want to read too much into the lyrics will try to figure out who Sympathy is a Knife and Girl So Confusing are about. I argue that that's irrelevant. It's really the emotions and the honesty. The title itself, Brat, captures the outer shell of overconfidence and braggadocio, but also the inner insecurities and lost childishness of the record. The singles are recontextualized as self-assurance speeches in the throes of existential dread. And yet there is still some joy in the record. A highlight of mine, Everything is Romantic. It's like a hot cool girl version of Casey Musgrave's Dinner with Friends. A listing of beautiful small moments. On I Think About It All the Time, she recalls seeing a friend with her newborn in the same clothes that she'd been wearing before. I can't help but recall Farrah Abraham's My Teenage Dream Ended in its sheer honesty masked over auto-tune and an electronic clash, yet it also feels as manicured and futuristic as Robin's work on Body Talk. As always, in traditional Charli fashion, the final track, 365, serves as a complete reset. She remixes the cool girl anthem 360 into a celebration about taking bumps and having the night of your life. She has reconciled her insecurities and taken to truly enjoying the moment and the life that lays ahead of her. The repetition of Keep towards the end being the party girl version of Keep Calm and Carry On. The night may be over, and and maybe she won't remember any of it, but there's another one on the horizon, and I think that's enough. Not to get too personal, but I've had my own personal reckonings lately, and this record captures those feelings so well. This is a record about reclaiming your freedom. The decision to not be on the cover speaks to her desire to not be contained or owned by anyone, even her own insecurities. I feel like the spirit of this record really evoked true romance Charli, but with the wisdom of a tumultuous yet iconic career. I'd argue that had there not been a self-titled already, that this record would be a contender for that honor. I normally have a note about headphones or speakers. This one's actually perfect for both, but it does work best in a car on your way to a night out. I think that it's cohesive. A.G. Cook, who sat out for most of Crash, is on this record. At 15 tracks, I don't think that there's a true single chop, but there are definitely highlights. I think that this is one of her least accessible records to date, something truly for the fans, with little interest to casual or easy listening. It's daring, it's bold, and likely a seminal record in an already distinct discography. And now I'm gonna do the track-by-track review. The record opens with 360, it's a slick I'm That Bitch anthem. Nearly every other line is Instagram caption perfect. I'm your favorite reference, baby, I'm everywhere, I'm so Julia, referencing the one and only Julia Fox. The duality of 666 with a princess streak. You gun jump if AG made it, shouting out her go-to producer. My favorite underrated wordplay is work angles. It works for the modeling metaphor, but also for the song itself. 360 refers to going full revolution. This song sets up a journey that really takes us around the totality of Charli's psyche at this given moment. She's like the pop Da Vinci. Da Vinci was only known for his paintings when he lived. Only later did his other achievements come out. I think that Charli's setting up a new archetype of pop star that we won't see in our lifetimes. Club Classics is a proper club banger produced by her fiance George Daniel and A.G. Cook. This track evokes anthems from How I'm Feeling Now, but Untamed. The club classics that she's singing about are likely the mid-2000 staples like Blinded by the Lights, by the Streets that she shouts out. She references balance in the post-chorus, mimicking that song's structure while shouting out herself, her heroes, and collaborators. The lyric I Wanna Dance to Me is her canonizing herself. It continues what she started on 360. She is taking this mantle that her fans and cultural arbiters have given her. Sympathy is a Knife is an immediate favorite of mine. Easy Fun's production is electric. The way that the synth feels like a throbbing stab to the head. It captures the spiraling anxiety that she feels. The lyrics are diaristic, like choppy text to a friend when you're somewhere you don't want to be. She flips this idea of sympathy from comfort to artificial pity that makes things worse. A lot of people will speculate based on the backstage at my boyfriend's show, and I hope they break up quick, that the song is about Taylor Swift, who had dated Maddie Healy, which partly contextualizes the chorus, but I think that's too simplistic. The earlier part of verse 2 about buying a gun just to off herself speaks more to built-in inner insecurities that had already existed and are worsened by comparisons. It's less about the person and more about her own experience and feelings, which she wishes would stop. I think that it's a really fascinating and relatable track. We've all been there, whether it's a coworker or a friend's friend. We all have someone that we can think the song to. I Might Say Something Stupid is a delicate, poetic track. It's also the shortest track. My sister described this as the kind of song that they'd play in a Shrek movie when he's sad about something in the second act. I don't disagree with that. It sort of reminded me of Frou-Frou's music. The lyrical work here captures the discomfort of not being quite famous, but not being an ordinary person. The lines, I'm famous, but not quite, but I'm perfect for the background, 1 foot in a normal life, really captures Charli's unique predicament of being niche but known. I'm perfect for the background may be a metatextual reference to her music itself. I think that it's really introspective and soul-bearing. Talk Talk takes us back to the dance floor with a sugary fizzy bop. A.G. Cook and Hudmo create this beautiful instrumental that Charli just glides on. I really love Charli's delivery on the verses, where she goes high and low as she ponders whether or not her muse wants her back. The chorus is the sort of thing that Carly Rae Jepsen would hop on effortlessly. This one's a bit of a grower for me. I feel like the outro has that signature Charli bite to it. The vocals are a touch sharper as she finally takes control of the situation and dares her muse to go home with her. It's pretty elegant storytelling. Von Dutch has aged like fine wine. It's better contextualized as a shot of adrenaline. I had already talked about the song at length in a podcast episode, but this track is genius. Some people think that it's a bit of a diss track, but to whom exactly? According to a voice note addressed to Addison Rae, it's about people who she knows were watching her and were nice to her face but were two-faced. This song is her saying, "Yeah, I'm that girl, watch me and talk about me some more." Which brings me to this point. Charli's singular focus on capturing a feeling or sentiment is why she's good at what she's good at. She is straightforward to the point that she never misses. Everything is Romantic is one of the strongest tracks. It opens on a beautiful orchestral sweep before she comes in with a description of a gorgeous trip to Capri out in Italy. The chorus is ethereal as the synths and claps punctuate her feelings. She may be repeating the same things over and over again, but it's done in a way to capture her awe on how beautiful life is. The outro cutting out to ambient noise signifies her leaving the scene to actually enjoy life. Rewind is a fun meta track that feels like a more mature 1999 mixed with anthems. The tape rewind effect is cheeky, but it really does carry the point. AG and Circuit's production accents her lyrics so well when they put the dialing noises when she jokes about calling the paps on herself. The lines about being self-aware about worrying the charts again point to her bluntness. The song's sudden switch up towards the end really keeps you on your toes, but also represents her breaking out of a cycle. I love how she manages to frame nostalgia. It's not out of this warmth or sentiment, but rather this desire to escape bleak thoughts. So I was the hardest track to listen to. It's an authentic tribute to Sophie, framing her not as a lost pioneer and powerhouse, but also as a human that she loved. On the chorus, she admits that it hurts to sing their songs because it hurts so much. She references It's Okay to Cry, one of Sophie's seminal tracks, as permission to feel. The verses truly capture the regrets that she's always had about not staying for dinner, while showing appreciation for pushing her to be a better artist. Verse 2 was really tough, her feeling guilty about not answering the phone before tragedy had struck, and it reveals that she still wonders what Sophie would say about her songs now. The outro is just a gorgeous spread of vocalizing that gets the emotion across. Girl So Confusing is a fascinating track where she sings about the complicated nature of female friendship. The way that she plays with her vocals on here captures the confusion so well. The verses paint this other singer who she's unsure about. Does this girl hate her? Are they really friends? They have the same hair and the internet would go crazy if they made music together. Some people think that it's Lorde, others think that it's Marina. Doesn't matter. But this girl loves poetry and Charli loves partying, and she's not even sure why they're really friends. I love how Charli takes some of the blame, wondering if this is also her fault. I don't feel like the song demonizes the other girl. The chorus is so intuitive, it's not a palindrome, but the symmetry of delivery makes it feel like one. Apple's a unique little bop. Charli produces with AG, George, and Lotus 4, which does give it a cool experimental texture. She riffs on this theme of comparison where this person is someone that she sees a bit of herself in. It's a bit random that she's singing about the colors and how she wants to grow the apple, yet she has her frustrations. Verse 3 calls into question intergenerational trauma of all things, wondering if this apple had become rotten because of what had been passed down to it. Before she thinks too much, she pivots back to this gorgeous outro. I do think that it's the most abstract track. I'll be listening to this one a million more times. And of course, Back to Back was co-produced by the iconic Gesaffelstein. I talked about it on my podcast, but it centers really around Charli's iconic repetition. She says back 242 times, I counted it. I think that it interplays back to 360 in that it's about cycles and revolutions and rebuilding herself. In this case, she's aware that she wants and needs to let go of this toxic relationship. The final repeating outro feels like a warning siren or a ticking time bomb. Mean Girls is one of my favorites. It's one of those tracks that really blossoms and evolves as it continues. The lyrics are glib and hyper-specific as she paints the archetype of the modern mean girl. She's out coquettish in flash-on pictures, worshipping Lana Del Rey in her AirPods, in her mid-20s, facing anorexic allegations, yet still is smart. The chorus is pop perfection. It's the kind of chorus that you can learn really fast and chant along to at a concert. The random piano switch up is where the song really gets jazzy with no warning. H.E. Cook and Hudmo have outdone themselves. This one is a highlight for me. The synth coming back to rip up the song at the end with the piano, really good. I Think About It All the Time is the penultimate track and one of the rawest. This one has her lament motherhood for herself. It was inspired by seeing a friend and a songwriter have a kid. She questions the societal and biological pressure to have a child, something that is rarely asked for within a pop star whose job and purpose is to remain hot and free and marketable and tour the world. The spoken part where she ponders quitting birth control because her career seems so small in the existential scheme of it all, that is one of the heaviest and hardest lyrics of the album. The album closes out on 365, which is a rework backup 360 that sees her close out the record on a high note. Charli sends her worries to the dance floor. Her priority now is the party girl 365 lifestyle. It's not about having the answers anymore, it's about bumping it and making the most of a night that we know we have. The real poetry in life is living. She has earned this night. Being alive and present is why we even live to begin with. I think that it's a gorgeous life-affirming closer, on par with track 10 in its own way. I cannot wait for the official remix with Shy Girl. It goes without saying that Brat is one of my favorite records of the year. I don't think this review captures how good this record is. I am glad to award it one of my rare 10 out of 10s. I do not care if it feels premature. This record, this is the one that I've been waiting for Charli to make since 2018, since Pop 2 dropped. Definitely worth the wait and the listen. Go stream it. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in to my Brat review. I'm so excited to finally be covering another Charli project. I believe that there is a remix album in the works. She has teased it on Las Culturistas. Shout out to Bo and Yang for being my Instagram mutual. Love you. Charli is such a unique, amazing artist. I have been so honored to see the fandom for her grow over the years and continue to grow. Truly a voice of our generation and a pop star ahead and of her time. I just want to give a quick shout out to my members. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. A shout out to my subscribers. Without you, I wouldn't be making these videos to begin with. Comment below what you thought of Brat, what your favorite tracks were. When do you think the deluxe is gonna drop? Because I need more. And a happy Pride Month to all of the LGBT watchers on this channel, which is probably 80% of y'all, 90% probably. I don't know how to end this video. I've been going off for like 16 minutes. Anyway, thank you guys so much, and I will see you next video. Hopefully pretty soon.